After just 7 episodes in the MCU, Agatha Harkness has done what the other characters couldn't manage in 6 years: name drop the witch.
That makes you the Scarlet Witch.
With the sitcom style of storytelling finally running its course in Episode 7, Episode 8 gave us a taste of what the MCU's all about. A plethora of magical beams and colours, on and off Russian accents, and the revival of more versions of Vision for the MCU to eventually kill off. For those of you that are sitting in front of your computer screens after having your minds blown and are waiting for mind-bending theories and a knee-jerking analysis to this excruciatingly confusing episode, then you're probably best to check out New Rockstars. But if you're here to rekindle and commemorate the biggest twists and moments from Episode 8, then this is the right place for you. At number 5, we have the crazy flashback intro with Agatha Harkness. The first of many flashbacks saw Agatha back in 17th century Massachusetts while she awaited her death at the hands of other witches, including her own mother. Die-hard comic fans will recognize this scene as the infamous Salem witch trials, which saw the demise of Harkness in the comics. Given that a former Game of Thrones director, aka Matt Shakman, directed this week's episode, it was only befitting to see the episode open up with a woman waiting to get burnt alive at the hands of her own kin. But the MCU realized that kids too watch their content and decided to deviate from the source material and go for a more PG-13 approach. One where the evil witch who's been practicing dark magic absorbs all the others' powers, killing everyone, including her mother, and then runs away. Poor kids. This scene was unlike any other we've seen in the show so far. We gotta look way back to over 300 years ago to get a sense of how Agatha's been lurking around. This flashback scene ended with Agatha taking off a badge from her mother's shirt, and this is the same badge we've seen her wearing throughout the show. Maybe in memory of her dead mother, but that seems unlikely given the crux of their relationship centered around murdering each other. But it's a cool Easter egg nonetheless. At number 4, we saw Agatha take Wanda on a walk down memory lane to relive her tragic past in Sokovia. The story format for this episode shifted from a TV sitcom trope to bestow us with every filmmaker's favourite cinematic tool when they wish to kill off some time: the flashback episode. We picked off right from Agatha's secret underground lair, where she fed us with slabs and slabs of exposition. We mostly got answers to tons of questions we already knew the answers to. Agatha's character took the form of showrunner once again, like she did in the very last episode, filling in the blanks with exposition for us. Was Pietro actually real? No, he was created by an illusion we witches refer to as transmutation. Was the neighbor-like persona just an act? Yes, I'm actually a 300-year-old witch who's been messing up everything.
Pulling every evil string.
You didn't see that coming. With the help of an old magical door and a string of Wanda's hair, Agatha embarks on a quest to deliver the origin of Wanda's power, which brought us to another big moment to this episode when we saw Wanda return to Sokovia, albeit in a flashback. We got a look at young Wanda and Pietro as they watched the TV sitcom Dick Van Dyke with their parents. This was the first clue to hint that Wanda had been creating this false reality to resemble her most precious memories dating back to her childhood. The first episode of WandaVision, in fact, was made to resemble this same show. During a rather peaceful and homely scene, we were hit with a preposterous jump scare in the form of a bomb that wiped out the kids' parents, courtesy of Stark Industries and their revolutionary tech and weaponized drones which were ever present during the explosion. Now, this hasn't been the first time Stark Industries has popped up in this show. There was a similar device being used by S.W.O.R.D. to break into the Hex, and as we went on to see later, was ultimately the device which led to the revival of Vision, but more on that later on. Luckily for the two siblings, Wanda was able to use her probability magic to alter the probability of the other Stark missile from going off as they were stuck in the wreckage for 2 whole days. With the crazy flashbacks of Wanda at the Sokovian lab right before the events of the post-credit scene in Captain America: The Winter Soldier and the Avengers hideout scene with Vision, it's no surprise that this is number 3 on our list. The scene in the Sokovian lab probably took place right before the events of the post-credit scene in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which showed her waiting to be experimented on. Wanda and Pietro decided to do the only thing they deemed worthy after seeing their parents and countless other civilians being wiped out by a terrorist attack: join an anti-freedom terrorist organization. A bold move for a child who grew up watching Bryan Cranston as Hal from Malcolm in the Middle and not Walter White from Breaking Bad.
You're
goddamn right.
As two local scientists instructed Wanda to head towards the Infinity Stone, we saw the powers of the Mind Stone get consumed by her. She was the first person the experiment had actually worked on before she passed out. During the scene where we saw her absorb the stone's power, we also saw a silhouette of her comic Scarlet Witch outfit appear. This was probably the vision she was getting of herself in her full power, probably the form she'll be taking after the end of WandaVision. This scene ended up playing a crucial role in the latter part of the episode where we saw her use her powers from the stone to revive Vision. The scene in the hideout room was an emotional and gut-wrenching scene between Wanda and Vision. The mix of being the only two people who couldn't relate to anyone around them got them talking, and they were only brought closer after Vision's painfully accurate assessment on the true meaning of love. Pretty affectionate coming from a sentient weapon. The second biggest moment of this episode saw the origin of the Hex, as well as the origin of Scarlet Witch. In what was easily one of the most jaw-dropping moments of the entire series, we finally got answers to the elusive origin of the Hex. Countless weeks of theories and predictions were put to shame after we saw Wanda drive away from the Sword headquarters without a disassembled Vision. We're now in for a major shock as we see Wanda enter the abandoned plot in WandaVision, which was where Vision had imagined they would live the rest of their lives together. In one of the most heartbreaking scenes of the show, we saw Wanda break down and fall to her knees as bursts of her glowing red energy came flashing out of her. This scene was identical to the one in Age of Ultron, while she grieved for the death of Pietro and wiped out all the other robots. But in WandaVision, we saw that the hardship and loss she faced ultimately led her to explode out all of her powers and create the reality warping Hex. The prior scene of her stopping the missile in Sokovia was foreshadowing to the godlike magical abilities she always possessed, which was further strengthened after she absorbed the Mind Stone. The silhouette of Scarlet Witch was also foreshadowing the true powers of the witch. While she was in the process of creating the Hex, she inadvertently created a new version of Vision as well. Yellow Mind Stone energy basically radiated out of her as we see Vision take form again. All this while we thought it was Wanda who stole the body, but the MCU gave her a full power upgrade in under 30 minutes. This comic origin episode ended perfectly with Agatha name-dropping Wanda in her true form since she'd been using chaos magic all this while. We finally witnessed the birth of Scarlet Witch.
That makes you the Scarlet Witch.
Right after WandaVision set us up with what looked like the first witch v witch fight in the show dropped us with the biggest villain yet again. I was ready to call it a day and write a long rant about the credits getting more screen time than Jimmy Woo, but that's the thing about the MCU. They deliver you with these shockers when you least expect it. So coming in straight at number 1, the show's biggest moment came in the form of a post-credit scene which saw the resurrection of the original Vision, but for the sake of differentiation from the Hex Vision, which will hopefully culminate to a possible Vision v Vision finale battle, we got a white form of Vision, an albino Vision if I may say. This was the big secret that Hayward and Sword had been hiding all along. Fans were under the suspicion that he was planning on turning Vision into a sentient weapon, but with the confirmation of the Vision in the Hex being created by Wanda's powers, we finally got to see Hayward live out his lifelong desire for sentient weapons. So much so that he even changed Sword's acronym from the comics to fit in the word sentient in there. What's noticeable about this new Vision is that he probably doesn't have any memories of his past self, so he'll be used in whatever capacity Hayward deems fit. This sets up a mouth-watering climatic battle which will see a witch fight and hopefully a replica of the Cap v Cap fight from Endgame. With rumors of the Sorcerer Supreme himself all destined to make a cameo in next week's finale episode, things are sure to get out of control once again. Hopefully setting up the multiverse of madness in a truly sensational way. There you have it. After another episode of truly epic and shocking moments, we're just 1 week away from the finale. What were your favourite moments from the episode? Let us know in the comment section down below. Also, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you next time on the TV Regent.